Amazing engineering of Venice. How a city was built on water and mud. Imagine a city whose audacity was so shameless that even the course of nature was defied. A beautiful feat of engineering that was built not on firm ground, but on shifting waters and mud. Venice, the floating city, is a challenge even for the finest engineers of today. What ingenious secrets did the Venetians use to keep structures above water for over 1,000 years? Come and join us on a magical tour of the tale of Venice, one which you've no doubt heard, perhaps never visited. Who were these Venetians? Why did they remain in this swampy lagoon? But most intriguing of all, how was it possible for them even to build in the water? In this episode, though, we are going to see how this 1,600-year-old carless city was crafted from water and mud. And right at the end, we will see how one of the world's best-loved drinks originates from this very extraordinary place. Join us on a journey into Venice, revealing its secret marvels of engineering. The refugees who built a city. Ever thought why people would want to live in a place that appears so inhospitable? Let's go back in history to the year 452 AD, when the very fabric of civilization seemed to be under serious threat. The Huns, under the infamous Attila, swept through northern Italy, leaving ruin in their wake as if some vengeful storm. The cities of Aquileia, Concordia, and Altinum were thoroughly pillaged, as were all the other towns, its terrified inhabitants fleeing for cover. Imagine the bedlam, families scampering for survival, finding refuge in the swampy islands of the Venetian lagoon, a most unlikely place, almost uninhabited because of its landscape. The ironic turn of events is that those shallow waters that made the place impassable for the masses in Attila's army served as the natural bastion, saving them from the turmoil of a crumbling Roman Empire. Indeed, the first Venetians could well be described as refugees. Put your feet in their shoes. If you had to flee everything you'd ever known, where would you go? And more importantly, would you have what it took to rebuild an entirely new life for yourself? In time, these refugees learned to live in the lagoon, constructing simple stilt houses, living off fishing, and mining salt. In such isolation and safety, the population began to grow, and as early as the 7th century, these settlements acquired a political structure, thus creating preconditions for Venice to turn into a powerful and long-lasting city-state. This migration marked the very beginning of Venice's path from swamp asylum to thriving metropolis. The refugees who built a city. In the times of the Roman Empire, what is now known as Venice was just called Venetia. Just imagine the Adriatic Sea at less depth, in which the city was founded. It is a place where, quite literally, nobody would stand, because of the water and mud, a sort of quicksand. However, within the murk, there is laid down a bed of clay, stable enough to bear an entire city. So, how did the original Venetians manage to build here? In comes the artful use of the oldest building material known to mankind. Fortunately for them, wood was plentiful in local forests, and they chose varieties such as larch and oak, which are naturally resistant to water anyway. The larch wood contains so much resin that it does not rot, and oak is extremely hard and resilient when treated. These trees became huge spikes, driven well below the surface, to that solid layer of clay, roughly 20 feet down. And now, let us proceed to our serious job. Early Venetians drove the wood piles into the earth with the most basic of tools, no hydraulic machinery such as exists today. Mind-boggling to think about the strength and willpower that the laying of the foundations of this city must have required with such means. Why was it possible? All started with that smart method of driving wooden spikes hard down into the earth. When the earth is compacted, the water is pushed out, leaving a firm and dry bed. Just imagine this, twisting a wet rug. The more you press, the more the water comes out, and the stronger the cloth becomes. Now, translate that into monumental dimensions of those spikes act, just like your hand compacting the earth and preparing it for building. But more interestingly, Venice enjoys one more unbelievable natural process, the one regarding the petrification of wood. That means organic wood fibers are replaced by minerals due to time and in due course in the case of submergence in mineral-rich water. Though the wood in the foundation is not quite stone, it undergoes mineral reinforcement and thus is very durable. Being buried under the oxygenless lagoon water prevented the decaying of the wood of the piles underneath the lagoon. Over time, minerals started entering the wood fibers and then crystallizing, thus further strengthening the latter. In addition to the use of water-resistant woods, this action of stabilization in dense clay allowed the wood to stay firm for centuries. What a spectacle that was! A dream of a city springing from the bottom of the Adriatic, of very many hundreds of trees driven far down into wet clay to form a submarine forest underneath the waves. But such a foundation is unusual and will have to be leveled off, so let's go get those saws. We cut these partially exposed trees off to a uniform height, thus clearing space but leaving a base for the next process. We set thick layers of planks across the top of the trees to complete a solid base that will hold an amazing city. Well, not quite yet. Give this base a bit more resistance and solidity by reinforcing it with stone. What could be more perfect than Istrian stone? This incredible material is as hard as marble, impervious to water, and thus perfect for our foundation. The great Venetians knew that full well and used it to save their wood constructions from the endless tides of the lagoon. Thus, with such ingenuity, it was possible to save these wood grounds from water for centuries. Rising above, the buildings of Venice. Was it ever magic to one, how this city on water ever came into being? Well, in this video, we go deep into the magic of the engineering marvels constituting this unique metropolis. From humble beginnings as a haven for people fleeing the Hun invasion, Venice rose to become a mighty maritime empire. It has always been a city of innovation. In early days, the Venetians solved the biggest problem of building structures in this waterlogged city. Ingeniously, they invented frameworks of timber with lightweight filling material such as wattle and daub that allowed their buildings to sit on wooden pile foundations with no risk of collapse under the weight of traditional stone. With time, they perfected their methods by using solid bricks and Istrian limestone to provide even more solid walls without sacrificing lightness, which is important since Venice is still fighting the battle of waters that continue to rise due to climate change and natural settlement. But that is not all. The floors of Venetian buildings had wooden beams laid onto which terracotta tiles were placed, while the tiled roofs were supported by timber trusses, so strong yet light. Arched openings and vaults followed the Roman architectural strategies of distributing the weight cleverly through their structure. Against the frequent flooding, the Venetians elevated ground floors, adding waterproof stone basements, an extremely apt adaptation of Roman principles to the Venetian lagoon. Their brilliant way of water management is reflected in use both of cisterns and other rainwater collecting systems. This mixture of Roman legacy methods and local ingenuity could enable Venice literally to be a city built not just on water, but on innovation too. They built 417 bridges to navigate the new region. You have seen, at some point in time, a bejeweled Venetian mask. They're from here. They had first been used at the Carnival of Venice, a huge party or festival at which participants wear over-the-top outfits along with masks. It is here that this carnivore started and still celebrated this day. The carnival attracts about 3 million partygoers to the islands each year. Do you remember that one favorite drink with very deep historical roots in Venice? That's right coffee, so often described as black gold. Traded into Venice from the Ottoman Empire during the late 16th and early 17th centuries, the drink immediately found itself right in the middle of a cultural phenomenon and changed this city into a gate for this favorite beverage's arrival in Europe. Once the drink of the wealthy, the most significant introduction propelled coffee among the classes. The coffee house. For 2 centuries, the famous Café Florian, founded in Piazza San Marco in 1720, is a cultural center where the Venetians discuss ideas and enjoy each other's company. Did you know it is one of the oldest coffee shops in the world? It is, the 4th oldest to be exact. From Venice, it spread throughout Italy and beyond, shaping the rich coffee culture we have today. If you like this tour of the history of coffee in Venice, click on the link below to delve deeper into the world of coffee, from its ancient roots right to its modern-day significance. Thanks for watching.